The red warning lights flashed across the bridge of the Krillian patrol vessel. Captain Day One stared at the screen showing a weak distress signal coming from deep space. The signal was faint, but it was there. Someone needed help. "Captain, that signal is coming from the restricted zone," his first officer said. Her voice carried worry. Day One knew what that meant. The restricted zone was human space. For 300 years, the Galactic Council had one simple rule that every species followed without question. Never enter human territory. Not for any reason. Not ever. But someone was out there dying. The distress signal was clear about that. Day One had been a rescue captain for 20 years. He had saved hundreds of lives. He could not ignore a call for help. "How far inside the boundary is it?" he asked. "Only 5 kilometers, sir. Just barely inside." Day One thought about it. 5 kilometers was nothing. They could jump in, grab whoever was in trouble and jump out. The humans would never even know they were there. It would take less than 10 minutes. Ambassador Hana stood up from her seat at the back of the bridge. She was a council representative, traveling with them to inspect border stations. Her face was pale. "Captain, please reconsider," she said quietly. "The rules exist for a reason." "Someone is dying out there," Day One replied. "We are rescue workers. This is what we do." "You do not understand," Hana said. She moved closer to him. "I have seen the classified reports. I know why we stay away from human space. Please, Captain, let this one go." Day One looked at his crew. They were good people. They had families waiting for them at home. But they were also trained to save lives. He saw the same conflict in their eyes that he felt in his heart. "We will be fast," he said finally. "In and out. 5 minutes maximum." Hana closed her eyes. She sat down slowly and gripped the arms of her chair. "May the stars have mercy on us," she whispered. Day One gave the order. The ship jumped into hyperspace. When they emerged, they were inside human territory for the first time in 3 centuries. No Krillian vessel had crossed this line since the Treaty of Isolation was signed. At first, everything seemed normal. Space looked the same here as it did everywhere else. Stars glowed in the distance. The distress signal was stronger now. Day One felt relief. They would find the ship, save whoever was aboard, and leave. Everything would be fine. Then their sensors went completely dark. "What happened?" Day One shouted. "Get them back online." His crew worked frantically at their stations. Nothing responded. Their screens showed only static. Their communications were dead. Even their basic navigation systems had stopped working. The ship was blind. "Sir, something is jamming us," the first officer said. Her hands shook as she tried different controls. "Everything is blocked. I cannot get anything to work." A new sound filled the bridge. It was a deep, powerful hum that seemed to come from everywhere at once. The hull of their ship began to vibrate. Day One felt it in his bones. Then directly in front of them something appeared. It was massive. Larger than anything Day One had ever seen. A human dreadnought materialized out of nothing, as if it had been invisible. The ship was black as deep space, covered in armor that seemed to absorb light. Weapon ports opened along its hull like hungry mouths. Day One counted at least 50 guns, and he knew there were probably hundreds more he could not see. His crew sat frozen at their stations. No one spoke. No one moved. They all stared at the human warship hanging in space before them like a predator watching its prey. Suddenly, their communications crackled to life. A voice spoke in perfect Krillian. It was calm, cold, and absolutely certain. "Attention, Krillian vessel. This is Commander Jiho of the Human Defense Force. You have entered restricted space. This is your only warning. Turn your ship around and leave immediately. If you do not comply within 60 seconds, you will be destroyed. There will be no second warning. The countdown begins now." Day One found his voice. "We received a distress signal. We came to help. We mean no harm." There was a pause. Then Commander Jiho spoke again. His voice had not changed at all. "There is no distress signal here. What you detected was a test beacon to see if anyone would violate the treaty. You failed that test. 45 seconds remain. It was a trap. The humans had set a trap to catch anyone foolish enough to cross their border." Day One felt sick. How many other ships had made the same mistake? How many had not made it back? "Please," Day One said. "We did not know. We were trying to save someone. We will leave right now." 30 seconds, Commander Jiho replied. "You were warned. Every species in the galaxy knows the rules. You chose to break them." Day One looked at Hana. She was crying silently, tears running down her face. She had tried to warn him. She had known this would happen. His hands moved across the controls. He set a course back across the boundary. His ship began to turn, so slowly. Too slowly, 15 seconds. Your weapon systems are now locked. Your engines are restricted to minimum power. You will leave at the speed we permit. If you attempt to jump to hyperspace before crossing the boundary, you will be fired upon. The human dreadnought followed them as they crawled back toward the border. It moved without sound, without effort. Day One realized that the massive ship could destroy them in an instant. They were alive only because the humans chose to let them live. It took 8 minutes to cross back over the boundary. 8 minutes that felt like 8 hours. No one on the bridge spoke. They barely breathed. They watched the human warship track their every movement with perfect precision. Finally, they crossed the line. Immediately, their sensors came back online. Their communications returned. Their systems functioned normally again. The human ship remained on the other side of the boundary, weapons still active, watching them. Commander Jiho spoke one last time. You are fortunate today. You have been allowed to leave as a message to others. Tell your people what you saw here. Tell them what almost happened. Tell them that human patience is not infinite. The next ship that crosses this boundary will not receive a warning. They will simply disappear like all the others before them. Do you understand? Yes, T1 whispered. We understand. Good, now leave. And never come back. The communication ended. Day One gave the order to jump to hyperspace. As his ship disappeared into faster-than-light travel, he took one last look at the human dreadnought. It was already fading back into invisibility, returning to whatever dark place it came from. That night, Day One could not sleep. He kept thinking about Commander Jiho's words. Like all the others before them. How many ships had vanished into human space over the years? How many captains had made the same mistake he almost made? Hana found him in the observation deck, staring out at the stars. Now you know, she said softly. Now you understand why we have the treaty. Why we stay away. They were waiting for us, Day One said. That ship appeared out of nothing. They knew we were coming before we even crossed the boundary. They are always watching, Hana replied. Always waiting. The entire border is guarded by ships like that one. Ships we cannot see. Ships we cannot detect. The humans do not post warnings or send messages. They simply watch in silence. And if you cross the line, they appear. Why? Day One asked. Why are they so protective of their space? What are they hiding? Hana shook her head. They are not hiding anything. They are protecting us from them. The humans isolated themselves 300 years ago for a reason. They made the treaty because they knew what would happen if they did not. What do you mean? The humans are dangerous, Captain. More dangerous than any species in the galaxy, and they know it. The treaty was their idea. They asked us to stay away. They asked us to avoid them, because they do not trust themselves around other species. Day One looked at her. That makes no sense. It does when you know their history, Hana said. She turned to leave, then stopped. Be grateful, Captain. Be grateful that Commander Jiho let you live. Most who enter human space are never seen again. You and your crew are among the lucky few who received a warning instead of death. Learn from this. Tell others. Make sure no one else makes your mistake. She left him alone with his thoughts. Day One stared out at the stars for a long time. Somewhere beyond that boundary, humans watched and waited in their invisible ships. Ready, patient, deadly. He finally understood why every species in the galaxy feared human space. The question was not why humans wanted to be left alone. The question was what they would do if someone refused to leave them alone. And after today, Day One knew he never wanted to learn that answer. Young Mai had worked in the Galactic Archives for 15 years. She was a historian, responsible for maintaining old records and documents from across the galaxy. Most days were quiet and boring. She spent her time organizing files and scanning ancient texts into modern systems. But today was different. She had found something in the oldest section of the archives. Something that should not exist. A sealed file marked with red symbols that meant highest security and forbidden knowledge. The file was dated almost 2,000 years ago. Young Mi knew she should report this to her supervisor. Sealed files were not meant to be opened by regular workers, but curiosity filled her mind. What could be so dangerous that it was hidden for 2,000 years? She looked around. The archive room was empty. Everyone else had gone home for the day. Young Me took a deep breath and opened the file. What she read changed everything she thought she knew about humans. The first document was a military report from the Vex Collective. Young Me had never heard of them before. According to the file, the Vex were an ancient empire that controlled hundreds of worlds. They were explorers and conquerors who spread across the galaxy long before most modern species even developed space travel. 2,000 years ago, the Vex discovered a small yellow star with a blue planet orbiting it. The planet was rich in resources. Water covered most of its surface. The atmosphere was perfect for colonization. The Vex were excited. This world would be easy to take. There was just one problem. The planet already had inhabitants, primitive creatures who barely understood basic technology. The Vex did not consider this a real problem. They had conquered hundreds of primitive worlds before. These creatures would be easy to control or eliminate. The creatures called themselves humans. The Vex sent down their first colonization force. 5,000 soldiers landed on the planet. They expected the humans to surrender immediately when they saw superior technology. The Vex had weapons that could level mountains. They had armor that could withstand any primitive attack. The humans did not surrender. They fought back. At first, the Vex laughed. Human weapons were crude and weak. Human technology was thousands of years behind Vex science. The battle should have ended in hours. It lasted 3 years. Young Me read report after report, each more disturbing than the last. The humans learned incredibly fast. They studied captured Vex weapons and figured out how they worked. Within months, humans were building their own versions. Within a year, they were improving the designs. But technology was not the worst part. The worst part was how humans fought. The Vex were used to civilized warfare. Armies fought in organized formations. There were rules about combat. There were limits to what was acceptable. Humans had no rules. They attacked from anywhere and everywhere. They fought day and night without stopping. They used tricks and traps that the Vex had never imagined. They hid in places the Vex did not think to look. They struck fast and disappeared before the Vex could respond. One report described a human general named Tae Sung. He led a small group of soldiers against a Vex fortress that held 10,000 troops. The Vex commander was confident. His fortress was impossible to attack. The walls were thick. The defenses were perfect. Tae Sung did not attack the fortress. Instead, he cut off the water supply. He poisoned the food storage. He destroyed the communication systems. He made sure nothing could get in or out. Then he waited. After 2 weeks, the Vex soldiers inside were dying of thirst and hunger. They tried to break out. Tae Sung let them. As they ran from the fortress, weak and desperate, human soldiers picked them off one by one. By the end of the day, all 10,000 Vex soldiers were dead. Tae Sung lost only 37 soldiers in the entire battle. The Vex commanders were horrified. This was not how war was supposed to work. Where was the honor? Where was the glory? The humans did not care about honor or glory. They cared about winning, and they were very good at winning. Young Mai found another document. This one was a psychological study of human prisoners captured by the Vex. The study was written by Vex scientists trying to understand these strange creatures. The scientists discovered something terrifying. Humans were pack animals. They formed extremely strong bonds with each other. When one human was hurt, the others became more dangerous, not less. The death of a human soldier did not weaken the human army. It made them angry. And angry humans were the most dangerous humans of all. The scientists also found that humans could survive injuries that would kill most species. A human could lose large amounts of blood and keep fighting. A human could break bones and continue moving. A human could be wounded multiple times and still refuse to surrender. But the most disturbing discovery was about human endurance. The scientists tested human prisoners by forcing them to perform physical tasks. The scientists expected the humans to tire quickly and give up. The humans never gave up. They kept working long after the scientists thought they would collapse. Some humans worked for 20 hours straight without stopping. When they finally did rest, they only needed a few hours of sleep before they were ready to work again. The scientists called humans persistence predators. In nature, persistence predators were hunters who chased their prey for hours or days until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. Then the predator would simply walk up and kill the exhausted animal. Humans had evolved to hunt this way. They could track prey across incredible distances. They could follow trails that other species could not see. They could keep moving long after other species would die of exhaustion. The Vex scientists concluded their report with a warning. These creatures are born hunters. They have no natural predators on their world. They are the apex predators of their planet. Everything about their biology is designed for pursuit, capture, and killing. We recommend immediate withdrawal from the system. Continued conflict with humans is not advisable. The Vex commanders ignored the warning. They sent more troops. 20,000 soldiers this time. Better equipped. Better trained. They would crush the human resistance and claim the planet. None of those soldiers ever came home. Young me found the final battle reports. They were short and filled with fear. Vex soldiers reported humans appearing in the night like ghosts. They described human soldiers who moved without sound, who killed without mercy, who seemed to be everywhere at once. The humans had learned to use the darkness. They had learned to use the terrain. They had learned to use everything their planet offered against the invaders. The Vex had better technology, but the humans had something more important. They had home advantage, and they were willing to do absolutely anything to protect their home. After 3 years of brutal combat, the Vex admitted defeat. They withdrew from human space. They never returned, but the story did not end there. Young me found records of what happened next. The Vex survivors spread across the galaxy, telling everyone they met about the humans. They warned other species to never approach the human homeworld. They described the horrors they had witnessed. They shared images and recordings of human warfare. The galaxy listened. Species from hundreds of worlds saw what humans could do. They saw the brutality. They saw the efficiency. They saw creatures who fought without rules and won without mercy. Fear spread. Everyone wanted to stay as far from humans as possible. Then something unexpected happened. The humans sent a message to the Galactic Council. Young Mai found the original transmission in the files. It was written by a human diplomat named Su Jin. Su Jin's message was simple and direct. We know you fear us. We understand why. We have seen what we are capable of when threatened. We do not want conflict with the galaxy. We propose a treaty. Stay away from our space and we will stay away from yours. Let us remain isolated. Let us remain alone. This is not a threat. This is a request. Please, for everyone's safety, leave us alone. The Galactic Council agreed immediately. They created the Treaty of Isolation. Human space was marked as forbidden territory. No species was allowed to enter. No contact was permitted. The humans would govern themselves and the galaxy would pretend they did not exist. It was not a treaty to protect humans from the galaxy. It was a treaty to protect the galaxy from humans. Young me sat back in her chair. Her hands were shaking. She finally understood. The humans had isolated themselves by choice. They knew what they were. They knew how dangerous they could be. They did not trust themselves around other species. That was almost 2,000 years ago. For 2,000 years, humans had stayed in their space and the galaxy had stayed out. For 2,000 years, the treaty had held. But now young me had to ask herself a terrifying question. If humans were that dangerous 2,000 years ago with primitive technology, what were they capable of now? What weapons had they developed? What skills had they perfected? What had 2,000 years of isolation turned them into? She looked at the sealed files. They had been hidden for a reason. The galaxy did not want to remember what humans could do. It was easier to simply avoid them and forget why. But young me would never forget. Not after reading these reports. Not after seeing the evidence. The humans were not monsters. They were something more frightening. They were survivors who had evolved on a world that tried to kill them every single day. They were predators who had learned to hunt anything. War Master Hyunwoo stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the tactical display with satisfaction. Around him, 300 warships of the Korthax Empire waited for his command. They were the most powerful military fleet in the known galaxy. Every ship was equipped with the latest weapons and shields. Every soldier was trained to perfection. The Korthax had conquered 17 worlds in the past 50 years. No one could stand against them. No force could match their military might. They were the masters of warfare. Now they faced their greatest challenge. The human border lay ahead. For 2,000 years, every species had obeyed the treaty and stayed away from human space. The Korthax believed this was foolishness. Humans were just another species. There was nothing special about them. The Korthax Council had made their decision. They would cross into human territory and claim the resource-rich systems on the other side. If the humans objected, they would be crushed like everyone else. The treaty was old and meaningless. It was time to show the galaxy that the Korthax Empire feared nothing. "All ships report ready, War Master," his second-in-command reported. "We await your order," Hyunwoo smiled. This would be easy. The humans probably did not even have a real military. They had been isolated for so long. Their technology was likely outdated. Their soldiers were probably soft from centuries of peace. "Begin the invasion," he ordered. "Cross the boundary. Claim the first 3 systems. Show the galaxy that the Korthax fear no one." 300 warships jumped into hyperspace. When they emerged, they were inside human territory. The fleet formed battle positions and moved forward into the first system. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. Hyunwoo frowned. Where were the human defenses? Where were their patrol ships? "Scan the system," he commanded. "Find me the human forces." His crew worked quickly. Their sensors swept across space looking for ships, stations, anything that indicated human presence. They found nothing. The system appeared empty. "War Master, there is nothing here. No ships, no bases, nothing." Hyunwoo felt the first touch of unease. Where were the humans? Why had no one responded to their invasion? "Move to the second system," he ordered. "Perhaps they are gathering their forces there." The fleet jumped again. The second system was also empty. So was the third. 3 entire star systems, and they had not seen a single human ship. "This makes no sense," Hyunwoo muttered. "They must know we are here. Why are they not responding?" Then his communications officer spoke. Her voice was tight with fear. "War Master, we are receiving a transmission. Audio only. It is coming from everywhere at once. Play it," Hyunwoo ordered. A calm voice filled the bridge. It spoke in perfect Korthax. "Attention, invading fleet. This is Admiral Kyung-soo of the Human Defense Force. You have violated the Treaty of Isolation. You have entered human space with hostile intent. You have 30 minutes to turn around and leave. If you do not leave, you will be removed by force." "This is your only warning," Hyunwoo laughed. "Removed by force? With what army? We see no human ships. We see no defenses. They are bluffing." He opened a channel to respond. "Human Admiral, this is War Master Hyunwoo of the Korthax Empire. We do not recognize your treaty. These systems now belong to us. If you have forces, bring them forward. We will destroy them easily." There was a long pause. Then Admiral Kyung-soo spoke again. His voice had not changed. It was still perfectly calm. "Very well. You have made your choice. May your gods have mercy on your souls." The transmission ended. Hyunwoo waited. Nothing happened. Minutes passed. Still nothing. "War Master, our sensors are detecting unusual energy readings," his tactical officer reported. "The readings are all around us. Hundreds of them." "No, thousands. What kind of energy readings?" Hyunwoo demanded. "I do not know, sir. I have never seen anything like this before. The energy is fluctuating in ways that should not be possible." Then all at once space changed. Ships appeared. Thousands of them. They had been there all along, invisible to Korthax sensors. Human warships materialized around the Korthax fleet like a closing fist. They were everywhere. Above, below, on all sides. The Korthax fleet was completely surrounded. Hyunwoo stared at the tactical display in horror. His 300 warships looked tiny compared to the human force. There were at least 5,000 human vessels on screen, and more were still appearing. "How?" he whispered. "How did they hide so many ships?" His tactical officer was frantically working his controls. "Sir, the human ships are using some kind of phasing technology." "They exist in a slightly different dimensional space until they want to be seen. Our sensors cannot detect them when they are phased. Fire all weapons," Hyunwoo shouted. "Destroy them before they can attack." The Korthax fleet opened fire. Thousands of weapons discharged at once, filling space with deadly energy. It was enough firepower to destroy a planet. None of it hit anything. The human ships simply phased out of normal space as the weapons fired. The deadly energy passed through empty space where the ships had been moments before. When the barrage ended, the human ships phased back in completely undamaged. "Impossible," Hyunwoo breathed. "Nothing can phase that quickly." Now it was the humans' turn. They fired, but their weapons were different. Instead of energy beams or missiles, they fired devices that attached themselves to Korthax ships. Once attached, The devices began to drain power from the ship's systems. Within seconds, Korthak ships began shutting down. Weapons went offline. Shields failed. Engines stopped. One by one, the mighty Korthak's warships became dead metal floating in space. They are not destroying us, Hyunwoo realized. They are capturing us. They want us alive, but he was wrong. The humans did not want prisoners. They wanted to send a message. Small human craft approached the disabled Korthak ships. They docked and deployed soldiers. Hyunwoo watched his tactical display as reports came in from other ships. Human soldiers were boarding the vessels. All ships resist the boarders, he commanded. Do not let them take our vessels. The Korthak soldiers tried to fight. They were the best warriors in the galaxy. They had trained for years. They were ready for combat. It did not matter. A soldier named Miran led one of the boarding teams. She moved through the Korthak ship like a shadow. Her armor made her nearly invisible. Her weapons were silent. By the time the Korthak soldiers realized she was there, she had already neutralized half of them. Miran and her team did not kill unless they had to. They used stun weapons and nerve gas. Within minutes, every Korthak soldier on the ship was unconscious. The entire crew was disabled without a single death. This same scene repeated across the entire Korthak's fleet. Ship after ship fell to human boarding parties. The Korthak soldiers never had a chance. The humans moved too fast. They were too skilled. They knew exactly what they were doing. In less than an hour, the entire Korthak's invasion force had been captured. 300 warships, 50,000 soldiers, all taken without the humans suffering a single casualty. Hyunwoo sat in his command chair, watching his crew being rounded up by human soldiers. He felt numb. This was not possible. The Korthak's empire did not lose battles. They certainly did not lose entire fleets. A human soldier approached him. The armor made it impossible to see the person inside. The soldier spoke in perfect Korthak's. War Master Hyunwoo, you will come with us. Admiral Kyungsoo wishes to speak with you. Hyunwoo was taken to a human ship. He was brought to a simple room with a single chair. A view screen on the wall showed Admiral Kyungsoo. The human admiral looked old with gray hair and tired eyes. But those eyes were sharp and hard. War Master Hyunwoo, the admiral said, you have made a terrible mistake today. You believed the treaty was meaningless. You believed humans were weak. You were wrong on both counts. You have captured my fleet, Hyunwoo said. What happens now? Will you execute us? No, Kyungsoo replied. We will send you home. Every ship, every soldier, all of you will return to your empire alive and unharmed. But first I need you to understand something very important. The view screen changed. It showed images from human history. Battles, weapons, destruction on a scale that made Hyunwoo feel sick. Cities burning, entire populations wiped out, technology used for nothing but killing. This is what humans do to each other, Kyungsoo said quietly. For thousands of years we fought amongst ourselves. We developed weapons that could end all life on our planet. We built machines designed for nothing but death. We became very, very good at killing. The images changed again. Now they showed peaceful cities, beautiful architecture, art and music, children playing. Then we decided to stop, the admiral continued. We chose peace. We chose to turn our skills toward creation instead of destruction, but we never forgot how to fight. We never forgot what we are capable of. The treaty exists because we know what we can do. We isolated ourselves to protect the galaxy from us. The screen showed the recent battle, the capture of the Korthak's fleet in less than an hour. Today we were merciful, Kyungsoo said. We captured your fleet instead of destroying it. We stunned your soldiers instead of killing them. But understand this, we could have killed every one of you in seconds. Your shields would not have protected you. Your weapons would not have helped you. You would simply have died, never knowing what hit you. Hyunwoo felt cold. He finally understood. The humans had not been hiding because they were afraid. Dr. Jae-hee had spent 30 years studying alien biology. She had examined specimens from over 200 different species. She thought she understood life in all its forms. But nothing had prepared her for what she was learning about humans. The Galactic Council had authorized a special research project after the Korthak's incident. They wanted to understand humans better. They needed to know why this one species was so different from everyone else. Jae-hee was chosen to lead the biological research team. She had access to old human medical records that the humans had provided 2,000 years ago, during the treaty negotiations. She also had permission to study humans from a safe distance using long-range sensors. What she discovered changed everything she thought she knew about life. Jae-hee started with the basics. She examined the human homeworld, a planet called Earth. The first thing she noticed was the gravity. Earth's gravity was almost twice as strong as what most spacefaring species considered normal. Humans had evolved to move and function under crushing weight that would exhaust other species in minutes. Then she looked at the atmosphere. Earth's air was rich in oxygen, far more than most planets. This highly reactive gas corroded metal and burned easily, but it also allowed for incredibly efficient energy production in living cells. Human bodies could produce massive amounts of energy because they breathed this dangerous gas. The temperature ranges shocked her. Earth experienced wild temperature variations. In some regions, the temperature could change by 50 degrees in a single day. Humans had evolved to survive in both freezing cold and burning heat. Their bodies could adapt to almost any temperature, but the most terrifying discovery was about Earth's microbial life. The planet was covered in bacteria and viruses, billions of different organisms, many of them deadly. Humans had evolved while being constantly attacked by microscopic invaders. Jae-hee called in her colleague, biologist Yoon-ji, to help analyze the data. "Look at this," Jae-hee said, showing Yoon-ji the human immune system data. Their bodies are in constant war with microscopic organisms. Every single day, human immune systems fight off thousands of infections. They have evolved multiple layers of defense against disease. Yoon-ji studied the information carefully. Her face grew pale. This planet is a death world. Most species would die within hours of landing there. The gravity would crush their bones. The oxygen would poison their blood. The microbes would infect and kill them. How did humans survive long enough to evolve intelligence? They did not just survive, Jae-hee replied. They thrived. They became the dominant species on their planet. They conquered every environment. They live in deserts where the temperature reaches 60 degrees. They live in frozen wastelands where water turns to ice. They live on mountains so high that there is barely any oxygen. Humans can adapt to almost anything. Yoon-ji pulled up more data. Their evolutionary history is remarkable. Humans are persistence predators. Do you know what that means? I have read about it, but I do not fully understand. Most predators hunt using speed or strength, Yoon-ji explained. They chase prey and try to catch it quickly. If they fail, they give up and try again later. But persistence predators are different. They chase prey for hours, sometimes for days. They do not need to be fast, they just need to keep moving. Eventually, the prey becomes exhausted and collapses. Then the predator simply walks up and kills it. Jae-hee felt a chill run down her spine. Humans hunt this way? They used to, Yoon-ji said. Before they developed advanced tools and weapons, ancient humans would choose an animal and chase it. The animal would run away. The human would follow. The animal would rest. The human would keep coming. This would continue for hours or even days. Eventually, the animal would be so exhausted it could not run anymore. Then the human would kill it. That is horrifying, Jae-hee whispered. It gets worse, Yoon-ji continued. Humans have incredible endurance. They can run for hours without stopping. They can walk for days with minimal rest. They can survive without food for weeks and without water for days. Their bodies are built for long-term survival in the worst conditions. They brought in anthropologist Dong-hyun to study human culture and history. His findings added another layer to the picture. Human history is one long story of warfare, Dong-hyun reported to the team. For as long as records exist, humans have been fighting each other. Not just occasionally, constantly. There has never been a time in recorded human history when there was not a war happening somewhere on their planet. Why? Jae-hee asked. Why do they fight so much? Resources, territory, ideas, religion, power. Humans will fight over almost anything, Dong-hyun replied. But here is the interesting part. They do not just fight. They learn from every battle. They adapt. They improve. Human military technology has advanced faster than any other aspect of their civilization. They put more effort into developing weapons than into almost anything else. He pulled up images of human weapons through history, simple clubs and spears, then swords and bows, then guns and explosives, then missiles and atomic weapons. Each generation brought deadlier tools. They developed nuclear weapons before they developed sustainable energy, Dong-hyun said. They learned how to destroy cities before they learned how to properly feed all their people. War has always been their priority. Dr. Sung-hee joined the research team to study human medicine. Her specialty was trauma and injury response. What she found shocked everyone. Human bodies can survive incredible damage, she reported. I have reviewed thousands of medical cases. Humans have survived injuries that would instantly kill most species. They can lose up to 40% of their blood and still function. They can break major bones and continue moving. They can sustain organ damage and survive for days without treatment. She showed them case studies. A human who survived being impaled through the chest, another who lived after being crushed under heavy machinery, a third who recovered from burns covering half their body. Their healing ability is remarkable, Sung-hee continued. Human bones can repair themselves. Their skin regrows after being damaged. Even some of their organs can regenerate. They have documented cases of humans regrowing parts of their liver after more than half of it was removed. How is this possible? Jae-hee asked. Evolution on a death world. Sung-hee replied simply. Only the strongest survived. Only those who could heal from terrible injuries lived long enough to reproduce. Over millions of years, humans became incredibly resilient. Their bodies are designed to survive trauma that would kill anything else. Intelligence Officer Min Seo provided the final piece of the puzzle. She had studied human psychology and social behavior. Humans are pack animals, Min Seo explained, but their pack bonding is stronger than any other species we have studied. When humans form groups, they become incredibly loyal to each other. They will risk their own lives to save members of their pack. They will fight to the death to protect their families and friends. She showed them psychological profiles. This is what makes humans truly dangerous. They do not fight as individuals. They fight as units. When one human is injured, the others become more aggressive, not less. They do not retreat when they suffer casualties. They get angry. And angry humans are the most dangerous humans of all. There is something else, Min Seo added. Humans have what they call imagination. They can picture things that do not exist yet. They can plan for situations they have never encountered. This makes them incredibly creative problem solvers. In combat, this means they can develop new tactics in the middle of battle. They can adapt their strategy based on what is happening. Most species fight using established patterns. Humans make it up as they go. The research team gathered all their findings. They prepared a comprehensive report for the Galactic Council. When they were done, they sat together in silence, thinking about what they had learned. We have been afraid of humans for 2,000 years, Jae-hee said quietly, but we never really understood why. Now I know.
Humans are not just another species.
They are the product of the harshest evolutionary environment we have ever documented. Every aspect of their biology is designed for survival. Every part of their culture is shaped by constant conflict. They are natural-born survivors and warriors. And yet they chose peace, Yoonji said. They could have conquered the galaxy when they first developed space travel. They had the technology. They had the weapons. Instead, they isolated themselves. They recognized their own danger and removed themselves from the equation. That might be the most frightening thing about them, Dong-hyun added. They are self-aware enough to understand what they are. They know they are dangerous. They know what they are capable of. And they chose to stay away from us, not because they fear us, but because they fear what they might do to us. Min Seo stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the stars shone peacefully. Somewhere out there, beyond the treaty boundary, humans lived and worked and went about their lives. They had been peaceful neighbors for 2,000 years. But everyone now understood that this peace existed only because humans chose it. We must make sure the treaty is never broken again, Min Seo said. The Korthax were lucky. The humans showed mercy, but we cannot count on mercy forever. Council leader Junho stood before the assembled representatives of 500 worlds. The Grand Chamber was silent. Everyone waited to hear what he would say. The question before them was simple but terrifying. What should the galaxy do about humanity? For 2,000 years, the treaty had kept humans isolated. For 2,000 years, the galaxy had pretended humans did not exist. But recent events had changed everything. The Korthax incident had shown the galaxy just how powerful humans had become. The research reports had revealed exactly what humans were capable of. Fear had spread across the galaxy. Some species wanted to build more defenses. Others wanted to organize a preemptive strike before humans could attack them. A few suggested trying to negotiate better terms with humanity. But all of them were afraid. Junho had spent 3 months preparing for this moment. He had consulted with military leaders, scientists, historians, and diplomats. He had reviewed every piece of information available about humans, and he had reached a conclusion that surprised even himself. Members of the Council, he began, we face a decision that will shape the future of our galaxy. We can continue to fear humanity, or we can try something different. I propose that we extend an offer of friendship to the human people. The chamber erupted in shouts and arguments. Many representatives stood up yelling their objections. How could they befriend such dangerous creatures? How could they trust beings who were born warriors? Junho waited for the noise to die down. I understand your fear, he said calmly. I feel it too. But consider this. For 2,000 years, humans have honored the treaty. They have stayed in their space. They have not expanded. They have not attacked anyone who did not attack them first. Does this sound like a species that wants war? They destroyed the Korthax fleet. Someone shouted. They captured the Korthax fleet, Junho corrected. They could have destroyed it. They could have killed every Korthax soldier. Instead, they sent them home alive with a message. That shows restraint. That shows wisdom. Perhaps it also shows a desire for peace. He looked around the chamber. We have 3 choices. First, we can continue as we are, living in fear and isolation. Second, we can try to attack humanity, which would likely end in disaster for us. Third, we can reach out to them with respect and see if we can build a better relationship. I believe the third option is our best hope. The council debated for hours. Finally, they agreed to send a diplomatic mission to the human border. They would request formal negotiations. If the humans agreed, Ambassador Yunseo would lead the talks. Yunseo was nervous. She was one of the galaxy's best diplomats, but she had never dealt with humans before. No one had, except for those who had accidentally crossed into human space and lived to tell about it. She traveled to the border in a small, unarmed, diplomatic vessel. With her were advisors and cultural experts. They carried messages of peace and offers of trade. They hoped humans would at least listen to what they had to say. As they approached the boundary, their communications activated. The same calm voice that the Korthax had heard spoke to them. Diplomatic vessel, this is Commander Jiho of the Human Defense Force. State your purpose. Yunseo took a deep breath. Commander Jiho, I am Ambassador Yunseo representing the Galactic Council. We request permission to speak with your government about establishing formal diplomatic relations. We come in peace and wish to discuss ways our peoples can cooperate for mutual benefit. There was a long pause. Yunseo wondered if she had said something wrong. Then Jiho spoke again. Please wait. I am forwarding your request to my superiors. They waited for 3 hours. Finally, the response came. Ambassador Yunseo, your request has been approved. Please proceed to the coordinates we are transmitting. You will be met by our diplomatic team. Yunseo and her team followed the coordinates to a space station just inside human territory. It was the first time in 2,000 years that non-humans had been invited into human space. The station was surprisingly normal. Clean corridors, well-lit rooms. The humans who greeted them were polite and professional. They looked remarkably similar to several other species in the galaxy. 2 arms, 2 legs, bilateral symmetry. If Yunseo had not known what humans were capable of, she might have thought they were just another peaceful species. The lead human diplomat introduced himself as General Wu Jin. He was older with gray hair and kind eyes, but Yunseo noticed how he moved with perfect balance and control. This was someone who had been a warrior. Welcome to Unity Station, Wu Jin said. We built this specifically for diplomatic meetings. We hoped that one day the galaxy might be ready to talk to us. You have been waiting for this? Yunseo asked, surprised. For 2,000 years, Wu Jin replied. We chose isolation because we knew we were dangerous. But we have always hoped that someday we could rejoin the galactic community. We have been preparing for this day for a very long time. Over the next week, negotiations proceeded carefully. Wu Jin explained that humans wanted 3 things. First, they wanted the treaty to remain in place. Human space would stay restricted. Second, they wanted to establish peaceful relations with neighboring species. Third, they wanted to offer defensive assistance to any species that needed help. Defensive assistance? Yunseo asked. What does that mean? Wu Jin smiled. It means that if any peaceful species is attacked or threatened, they can request human help. We will defend them. We will not conquer territory. We will not demand payment. We will simply help those who need protection. Why would you do this? Because we are good at warfare, but we do not want to be warriors anymore, Wu Jin said simply. We have spent 2,000 years learning to be peaceful, but we still have all our military capabilities. We can use those capabilities to protect others instead of threatening them. Let us be the galaxy's guardians, not its conquerors. To demonstrate their sincerity, the humans offered to share some of their technology. Engineer Haniel presented shield technology that could protect entire planets from attack. Medical Officer Sung Hee showed treatments for diseases that had plagued other species for centuries. Scientist Jae Hee revealed clean energy systems that could power cities without pollution. This technology could transform our civilization, Yoon Seo said, amazed. Why share it with us? Because we want to help, Haniel replied. For 2,000 years we have been alone. We have built and created and improved. Now we want to share what we have learned. We want to show the galaxy that humans can be creators as well as destroyers. Yoon Seo reported back to the council. The representatives listened to her descriptions with wonder and fear. The humans were offering peace, friendship, and advanced technology. But could they be trusted? Junho addressed the council again. We must make a choice. We can continue to fear humans and reject their offer, or we can accept that they have changed, that 2,000 years of isolation has transformed them into potential allies. I believe we should accept their offer. But what if this is a trick? Someone asked. What if they are just trying to make us lower our guard before they attack? If humans wanted to attack us, they would not need tricks, Junho replied. We have seen what they can do. They could conquer any world in the galaxy if they chose to. The fact that they have not done so in 2,000 years tells us something important. They truly want peace. The vote was close, but the council agreed. They would accept the human offer. The Treaty of Isolation would remain, but it would be modified. Humans would stay in their space, but they would be recognized as official members of the galactic community. They would have a voice in council decisions, and they would serve as protectors for species that requested their help. The new treaty was signed at Unity Station. Representatives from 500 worlds attended. It was the largest diplomatic gathering in galactic history. Captain Jae Sung commanded the Human Honor Guard at the ceremony. His ships remained positioned at the border, visible to everyone. It was a reminder that human military power still existed, but now that power would be used to protect rather than threaten. As the signing ceremony concluded, Junho stood beside Wu Jin. I must ask, Junho said quietly, what would you have done if we had rejected your offer? If we had chosen to remain enemies? Wu Jin was silent for a moment. We would have respected your decision, he finally said. We would have stayed in our space and left you alone. We meant what we said. We want peace, but, Junho prompted. But we would have continued to watch, Wu Jin said. We would have stayed ready. Because while we want peace, we will always be prepared for war. That is what we are. That is what our world made us. We can choose peace, but we cannot change our nature. Junho nodded. He understood. Humans were apex predators who had learned to be peaceful. They could choose cooperation over conflict. They could choose creation over destruction. But they would always retain the ability to fight. And if they ever needed to fight again, they would be devastatingly effective. I think that is acceptable, Junho said, as long as you use that readiness to protect rather than attack. That is our promise, Wu Jin replied. We will be the guardians the galaxy needs. We will protect the weak, we will defend the peaceful, and we will ensure that no aggressive empire ever threatens the safety